Tying up a popular steelhead nymph pattern today. This is called the Rogue Hex. Most often, a lot of people in the Midwest, when they go steelhead fishing, they're bouncing eggs or egg sacs along the bottom. If you're fly fishing, generally it's a pegged egg or an egg that's tied on a hook or something like that, or it's streamers. Now, there are some nymphs. The PM Wiggler's a good one. There's a couple of other nymphs that are nice nymphs to be bouncing around for steelhead as well. The Hexagenia mayfly is a larger species of mayfly. The nymphs are a little bit larger as well as the dry flies. Just probably finishing up the hex hatch up in Michigan and Wisconsin right now. This is basically a steelhead nymph, Rogue Hex. It's just a large, colorful, high contrast nymph that has proven to be a very, very good steelhead producer. So that's the Rogue Next. That's the Rogue Hex. I'll get started tying. Start the Rogue Hex with my hook in the vise. This is a Mustad 3906B and a size 6. It's a extra long, 1X long, I should say, nymph hook. You can tie this on even a short streamer hook if you want. This is a size 6. You could possibly tie this in size 4s or even 2s if you wanted something even bigger. The Hexagenia mayfly is a much larger mayfly, so the nymphs are even a little bit larger than, say, some of your smaller gray millers or blue-winged olives, things like that. So you could go a little bit larger in this. Now for thread, I'm using this is a Uni-thread 8/0 in a pumpkin orange. Even though the body on this is a peach colored, I'm using the orange because on top of the black thread, it tends to lighten up a little bit, and it matches well with the peach. You could use something that is a little closer to the body color if you want. Also, don't think it hurts to have something that's a little bit brighter, like a bright spot. Now, with my thread attached just behind the eye of the hook, I'm going to tie in some bead chain eyes. You can use bead chain or even mono eyes on this if you want. These are a medium black bead chain eye. The mono eyes, you have to be careful, at least the commercial ones, because if you figure eight them too tight, you tend to wrap them around the hook shank a little bit more. They don't stay out as nice and perpendicular. I want to wrap these in so that I have almost an eye length behind the eye of the hook between that and the cross piece of those eyes. Gives me a little bit of room to tie it off. And you'll notice I am tying this in the gap of the hook or on the underside of the hook shank. You could add some weight to this if you want. You could also even use some small weighted dumbbell eyes if you would rather have a little bit more weight to help this get down. Advance my thread back to the point of the hook. Here I'm going to tie in the tail. The tail is just some Grizzly Marabou. You want to find a fairly full feather. A lot of times, because you get these in just a bag that they scoop up and throw in, you're going to get some feathers that aren't all that great. But you want to just take a little care, find one that has some nice body to it, and it's fairly uniform and even in terms of the tips. I'm going to tie that in so that it's about a hook length long, wrapping rearward, not quite to the very end of the body. I'll anchor that in. Now here I have to tie in what's going to be the shellback. I don't know, what would you call it? The exoskeleton, the back of our nymph. That is using some thin skin. Thin skin is just kind of a vinyl plastic. You can get this with, this is black. which is what the Rogue Hex uses. But you can get this in printed colors, a mottled turkey, different patterns on it, and all kinds of different colors and everything. We're just going to use a thin strip that we're going to tie in here and then fold over for the shellback. Now, the thin skin does come with a paper backing on it. It is not adhesive. I'm not certain how the backing is held onto it because the thin skin, once you separate it from the backing, it peels off the paper very, very easily. It's not sticky or tacky. I'm going to tie this in so it is right up on top of the hook shank. I like to tie it in a little bit further up just so that it has a nice anchor in the body. Bringing it back to what will be the end of the body. Tidy that up a little bit. Now we're going to tie in our body material. I'm using some ice chenille. This is a peach colored ice chenille. You could use an Estaz if you want something a little bit longer fibered. We're going to tie this in. I'm going to pull some of the fibers off the very end to expose the core to it, like your other typical chenilles. I'm going to wrap that core in so it's anchored down very well, and I'm going to wrap up to the dumbbell eyes, not quite up all the way. I want to leave a little bit of a gap for a collar we're going to hackle we're going to collar in just a second. So I'm going to wrap that ice chenille in. You could dub this if you wanted to. The chenilles, like the ice chenille and Estaz, these sparkle chenilles, they have all of that kind of done for you, so it's kind of nice in that it's very quick and easy to apply a nice fuzzy sparkly body to this. Get one more wrap in here. That gives me just enough room for a collar. I'll anchor that off. A few wraps and trim away the excess. Now the collar on the Rogue Hex is some teal flank. Teal has, it's kind of like mallard flank. It has a darker, more highly contrasted black and white alternate barring on it. You want to get one that the tips are fairly even here. The barbs on them are going to be about the length of from behind the eye to the bend of the hook, maybe a little bit longer. I don't think it hurts if they're a little bit longer. We're not making a huge bushy collar. You do want to isolate the tip of that feather. So I'm just stroking all of those barbs rearward to isolate the tip of this. I'm going to tie that in. I don't have to worry about clipping that away. Wrapping backwards, I'm going to fold that over and incorporate it as part of the collar and bring this right up behind. Now, taking my hackle pliers, I don't want to wrap into the fluff here, but I really only need 2 to 3 wraps of this to give me collar that I'm looking for. So there's one. And this one here, I think, will come around and get me everything that I need. I'm going to start getting into some really long barbs on that, because this is mostly just being suggestive of legs. So it doesn't have to be super thick. That's actually about 1.5 wraps, I think, of that hackle. It is a short feather, so you're not going to get a ton of wraps. So once I get that anchored in, I'm going to wrap cross wraps here back and forth on both sides to kind of fill in that space. The other thing it does, any of the butt ends of that chenille and or that hackle are going to get kind of covered up. Just makes it look a little bit cleaner by doing this. Now I can bring it right up forward, right in front of those dumbbell eyes, splitting up those hackles. I'm going to fold over the thin skin. Make certain I don't have anything trapped in a forward direction. Holding it straight over here. So you don't want to bring that up and wrap that around this way. So sometimes you have to kind of turn it and tuck it. There you go. So that that thin skin gets wrapped around that hook shank. Then trim away the excess, and now we can clean this up and make a nice small head on our little nymph here. Get my whip finish tool out. Put my whip finish. I can trim away my thread, a little bit of head cement, and we are good to go. Our Rogue Hex is done. Put some head cement on those thread wraps across there too if you want, just to soak down in there and make this last a little longer. This fly is going to be bounced around down around the bottom. It is going to be attacked by some very large fish, so expect all that to get a little bit chewed up in the course of fishing the Rogue Hex. But if you're looking for a fun, large nymph to bounce around when the steelhead are in, this is a great little pattern to have some fun with. And believe it or not, I think you could actually catch bluegill with that too. So there is the Rogue Hex. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vice today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. And what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.